The street was quiet. Too quiet for a world that never truly slept. Small houses stood in a straight line, their lights dim, their doors closed. No ships flew above. No alarms rang. It was just another calm evening on a forgotten edge of human space. Inside one small house lived a man named Evan. He was not important. He was not famous. He was not powerful. Evan lived alone. His house was simple. One table, one chair, a few tools on the wall. The smell of warm food still hung in the air. He had just finished dinner when he heard a sound that did not belong. A deep vibration passed through the floor. At first, Evan thought it was thunder. Then the walls shook again. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with each second. Evan stood up slowly. Outside, lights flickered. Birds screamed and flew away. The ground trembled like it was afraid. Then came the sound. A single heavy knock. Not loud, not fast, just deep and final. Evan froze. No one ever came to his house. He walked toward the door, his heart beating fast. Before he could reach it, the knocking stopped. Silence returned. For one breath. Then the sky outside turned dark. Through the window, Evan saw a massive shadow block the stars. A ship, far larger than anything human, hovered above the street. Its surface glowed with strange symbols and cold blue light. The ground cracked. Metal boots hit the street. Evan looked outside. Dozens of alien soldiers surrounded his home. Tall, armored, weapons in hand. Their eyes glowed behind black helmets. Neighbors peeked through windows, frozen with fear. Evan's door opened by itself. Standing there was a woman. She was tall and calm, dressed in flowing dark armor that looked like liquid metal. A silver crown floated above her head, shining softly. Her eyes were not angry, but they were ancient. She was a queen. Every empire knew her name. She stepped inside Evan's house as if it belonged to her. The soldiers remained outside. The queen looked around slowly. The small table, the worn floor, the quiet walls. Then she spoke. Her voice was calm, controlled, heavy with power. I came to take my daughter. The words fell like stone. Evan stared at her. I think you have the wrong house, he said carefully. The queen turned her gaze to him. I do not make mistakes, she replied. Evan swallowed. I don't have a daughter. The queen did not answer. Instead, she looked past him, toward the hallway, toward the back room. Her eyes narrowed. Before Evan could turn around, he felt something small and warm press against his side. A hand grabbed his shirt. He looked down. A young alien girl stood there. She was small, no taller than his chest. Her skin shimmered softly with pale light. Her eyes were wide, filled with fear. She trembled. She pressed herself against Evan's leg. No, she whispered. Her voice was shaking. Please, don't take me. The room went silent. The queen's breath caught. The soldiers outside raised their weapons in shock. Evan felt his heart tighten. The girl wrapped both arms around him. She looked up at the queen and shook her head. I don't want to go, she said. This is my home. The queen stared. Her face, once unchanging, cracked for a moment. That is impossible, the queen said softly. Evan looked between them, confused and scared. Your Majesty, he said, unsure why he even spoke. She's just a child. The queen's eyes burned. She is the heir of my empire. The words hit the room like thunder. Evan's knees felt weak. The girl gripped him tighter. She never came for me, the child said. You did. The queen stepped forward. The floor beneath her feet hummed. You were stolen, the queen said. No, the girl replied. I was saved. Evan felt the weight of every eye on him. He remembered the night he found her. The crash, the fire, the small body in the wreckage. He had not known who she was. He only knew she was alone. She was hurt, Evan said quietly. I helped her. The queen's voice dropped. You hid her from the stars. I protected her, Evan answered. Outside, alien ships appeared in the sky. More soldiers arrived. The entire street was surrounded. Neighbors whispered in fear. The queen raised a hand. Stand aside, human, she commanded. This matter is beyond you. Evan did not move. The girl shook her head again, tears forming in her eyes. I won't go, she cried. I choose him. The queen froze. Across the galaxy, no one had ever spoken those words to her. The soldiers hesitated. Evan took a slow breath. He was afraid, but he stood firm. She doesn't want to leave, he said. The queen looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time. A simple man, a small house, a shaking street, and a child who trusted him with her life. The queen's voice was quiet now. You cannot keep what belongs to an empire. Evan met her gaze. Then, he said, you will have to take her from me. The air turned cold. Weapons powered up. The queen raised her hand once more. The street held its breath, and the universe waited to see what would happen next. The queen's soldiers did not move. Their weapons were ready, but no one dared to act. The child still clung to Evan, her small hands tight around his arm. Her body shook, but she did not let go. She pressed her face into his side, as if hiding from the entire universe. The queen slowly lowered her hand. Explain, she said. Her voice was cold, but there was something else beneath it. Confusion. Doubt. Evan took a slow breath. It happened months ago, he said. The queen's eyes stayed on him, unblinking. The night sky was burning, Evan continued. I thought it was a meteor storm. The room faded as his memory took hold. The night had been loud. Sirens in the distance. Smoke in the air. A small alien ship had crashed in the hills outside the town. No one went near it. Everyone was afraid. Everyone except Evan. He had taken a flashlight in his old jacket and walked toward the fire. The ship was broken in half. Metal melted. Systems dead. And in the wreckage, a sound. A cry. Soft. Weak. Evan had followed it and found a small figure trapped beneath twisted metal. She was burned, bleeding, unconscious. She was not human, but she was alive. I didn't know who she was, Evan said quietly. I only knew she was a child. He had pulled her free with shaking hands. He had carried her all the way home. He had used every first aid skill he knew. She kept calling out, he said, not in words, in fear. The memory faded. The queen's eyes narrowed. You should have reported her, the queen said. I didn't trust anyone else, Evan replied. I didn't even trust myself. But I stayed. The child lifted her head slightly. He stayed, she repeated. The queen looked at her daughter. You were alone, the queen said softly. The girl nodded. I waited, she said. You never came. The queen's jaw tightened. She healed slowly, Evan continued. Some days she couldn't walk. Some nights she cried until she fell asleep. The girl squeezed his arm. He held my hand, she said. Evan remembered those nights. The nightmares. The way she would wake up screaming, glowing softly in the dark. How she would calm only when he sat beside her. She learned my words. Evan said, she learned how humans laugh. How we cook. How we care. The queen stepped closer. And when did she begin calling you that? She asked. The girl looked up at Evan. He did not leave, she said. So I gave him a name. The queen whispered it. Father. The word felt strange in her mouth. Evan swallowed hard. I never asked her to, he said. I never told her forget who she was. The queen turned away for a moment. She is my blood, the queen said. She is my heart, Evan answered. The soldiers shifted uneasily. Outside, the street was silent. The neighbors watched through cracks in their doors. Across the sky, more ships hovered, waiting. The queen faced him again. You live in a small house, she said. You have no army, no throne, no power. I know, Evan replied. And yet, the queen said slowly, she chose you. The child nodded again. I am not afraid here, she said. I sleep without fear. The queen's eyes flickered. You are the future of an empire, she said to her daughter. You must learn to rule. I learned something else, the girl replied. I learned love. The word echoed through the room. Love. A thing the empire did not measure. The queen raised her hand slightly. Enough, she said. At once. Two soldiers stepped forward. Evan felt the girl tense. "Please," the child whispered. "Don't let them take me." Evan placed his hand gently over hers. "You don't have to go," he said. The queen's eyes hardened. "You will release her," she commanded. Evan shook his head. "She decides," he said. The queen stared at him in disbelief. No one defied her. "Not like this." "Human," she said, her voice dangerous. "You are standing between me and my heir." Evan stood straight. "Then I will stand," he said. The soldiers raised their weapons. The child screamed, "No!" The sound cut through the air. Every soldier froze. The queen lifted her hand sharply. "Stop," she ordered. The weapons lowered. The queen looked down at her daughter. "You would choose a human over your people?" she asked. The girl did not hesitate. "Yes," she said. The queen closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them, her voice was calm again, but heavy. "Then there will be judgment," she said. Evan felt a chill. "What kind of judgment?" he asked. The queen turned toward the door. "One that decides," she said, "who truly deserves her." The queen stepped outside. The soldiers followed. The sky lit up with moving ships. The child held Evan tighter than ever. "What will happen?" she asked softly. Evan looked down at her. "I don't know," he said honestly. "But I'm here." The girl nodded. That was enough. Outside, the queen's voice echoed across the street. "Prepare the trial." And the universe listened. The street was no longer just a street. It had become a stage. Alien ships hovered in the sky, their lights cutting to the dark clouds. Soldiers stood in perfect lines. Every weapon was powered, every eye alert. Neighbors watched from behind doors and windows, afraid to breathe. In the center stood the queen. In front of her stood Evan, and between them stood the child. The queen raised her voice so all could hear. "My daughter will return with me," she declared. "This ends now." The child shook her head. "No," she said. The word was small, but it hit harder than any weapon. A ripple moved through the soldiers. Whispers spread. Across the ships, officers froze in disbelief. The queen stared at her daughter. "You do not understand what you are refusing," she said. "You are refusing a throne." The child looked up at Evan, then back at the queen. "I understand," she said. "I am refusing you." The silence that followed was heavy. Across the galaxy, no one refused a queen. Ever. "You were born to rule," the queen said. "To command fleets. To shape worlds." "I was born alone," the child replied. "He found me." She pointed at Evan. Evan felt every eye turned toward him. "You taught her weakness," the queen said sharply. "I taught her safety," Evan answered. The queen's eyes burned. "Soldiers," she said. The line of armored figures stepped forward. The child stepped back. Evan moved without thinking. He placed himself in front of her. Gasps spread through the crowd. The queen raised one hand. "Move," she ordered. Evan did not. "I won't," he said. "You will be destroyed," the queen warned. "Then do it," Evan replied. "But not through her." The queen stared at him for a long moment. Then she laughed. A cold, sharp sound. "A human dares to challenge an empire," she said. "I'm not challenging you," Evan replied. "She is." The queen turned her gaze back to the child. "Look around you," the queen said. "This power is yours." The child looked. She saw ships, soldiers, crowns made of light. Then she looked back at Evan's small house. The warm light in the window, the quiet. "I choose this," she said softly. The queen's expression changed. Not anger, shock. "You would trade eternity for a human home?" the queen asked. "Yes," the child said, "because there I am loved." The word spread like fire. Loved. Council ships appeared in the sky. Holograms flared to life. Faces of alien leaders filled the air. "What is happening?" one demanded. "The heir refuses a throne," another said. "This is impossible." The queen spoke without turning. "My daughter is confused," she said. "She will obey." "No," the child said. Every voice fell silent. "I will not rule," the child said clearly. "Not without him." The queen clenched her fists. "You shamed the empire," she said. The child's eyes filled with tears. "You left me," she said. "He stayed." The queen stepped forward. "For the last time," she said, her voice deadly calm. "Come with me." The child backed away. Evan felt her shaking. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to be afraid," he said. "I am not," she replied. "I am just choosing." The queen lifted her hand. Energy gathered in the air. Soldiers raised weapons. Council members shouted, "Wait!" The queen froze. The child stepped forward on her own. "I will not be taken," she said. "If you force me, you lose me forever." The queen stared at her. The threat was real. The empire could take her body, but never her heart. Slowly, the queen lowered her hand. Weapons powered down. The air released its breath. "You leave me no choice," the queen said quietly. She turned to the watching galaxy. "There will be a trial," she announced. "A judgment before all worlds." The council stirred. "A human trial?" one asked. "Yes," the queen replied. "He claims the right to my daughter." Evan's heart sank. "And I claim the right to test him." The queen looked at Evan one last time. "If you fail," she said, "she returns with me." "And if I succeed?" Evan asked. The queen hesitated. "Then," she said, "the empire must listen." The queen turned away. Ships repositioned. Lights shifted. The child took Evan's hand. "What if you lose?" she asked quietly. Evan squeezed her hand. "Then I lose," he said. "But I won't walk away." The child nodded. That was enough. Above them, the galaxy watched. Because a human had stood his ground, and a princess had refused a throne. The trial did not take place in a hall. There was no throne room, no seats, no mercy. The sky itself became the court. A massive circular platform formed above the street, made of glowing alien metal. Symbols burned across its surface. Ships surrounded it from every direction. Millions watched through live galaxy streams. At the center stood Evan, alone. The queen stood opposite him, tall and unmoving. Council members appeared as towering holograms, their voices layered and cold. "This trial will decide the fate of the air," the queen announced, "and the right of this human to stand beside her." The child stood behind Evan. She did not let go of his hand. "First test," the queen said. "Strength." The platform shifted. A massive alien guardian rose from the floor, tall as a building, made of steel and energy. Gasps echoed across the watchers. Evan looked up. He did not move. "I cannot fight that," he said honestly. The queen's eyes narrowed. "Then you fail." Evan shook his head. "I don't need to win," he said. "I need to protect her." The guardian struck. Evan moved instantly. He pushed the child back and threw himself forward. The blow hit him hard, throwing him across the platform. Pain burned through his body. The child screamed, "Stop!" The guardian froze. The queen raised a hand. "Enough," she said. "Strength is not his path." The council murmured. The platform shifted again. "Second test," the queen said. "Command." Symbols flared. Alien soldiers appeared around Evan. Hundreds of them. Weapons aimed at him. "Order them," the queen said. "Make them kneel." Evan looked around. Then he shook his head. "I won't," he said. The council erupted. "He refuses a test. He cannot command." The queen lifted a finger for silence. "Why?" she asked. "Because fear is not leadership," Evan replied. "And I won't teach her that." The child squeezed his hand harder. The queen studied him. The soldiers vanished. "Final test," the queen said. The platform dimmed. The noise faded. Now it was quiet. The child was gently pulled away from Evan by invisible force. "No!" she cried. Evan turned in panic. The queen's voice echoed. "This is the test of choice," she said. "You may save her, or you may save yourself." The platform began to crack beneath Evan's feet. Energy surged around him. "Step back," the queen said. "Leave her. You will live." Evan looked at the child. She was crying, reaching for him. "Father," she whispered. Evan stepped forward instead. The platform split. Pain ripped through his body as energy burned his skin. "I'm not leaving," he said through clenched teeth. "Choose," the Queen demanded. Evan fell to one knee. "She chooses," he said. The child screamed. "I choose him." The energy stopped. The platform stabilized. Silence fell across the stars. The Queen froze. Across the galaxy, systems paused. The council members stayed in disbelief. "He was willing to die," one whispered. "For a child not of his blood," said another. The Queen slowly walked toward Evan. She looked down at him, bruised, broken, still standing. "You would give your life," she said, "for someone who is not human." Evan looked up. "She is my child," he said simply. The Queen turned to her daughter. "Is this true?" she asked. The child ran forward and wrapped her arms around Evan. "Yes," she said. "He is my home." The Queen closed her eyes. For the first time in centuries, the ruler of worlds trembled. The platform dissolved. The sky cleared. The Queen faced the watching galaxy. "The trial is complete," she said. The council waited. "So is the judgment," the Queen continued. She looked at Evan. "This human has no throne," she said. "No fleet. No crown." She paused. "But he has passed every test that matters." The child smiled through tears. But the Queen was not finished. "There is one choice left," she said quietly. The Queen turned away, and the galaxy leaned closer. The sky stayed quiet. No ships moved. No weapons powered up. Even the stars seemed to wait. The Queen stood still. She did not speak. For the first time in her long rule, the Queen of 1,000 worlds said nothing. Evan struggled to stand, pain running through his body. The child stayed close, one arm around him, as if afraid he might disappear. The council waited. They had seen wars. They had seen planets burn. But they had never seen their queen hesitate. "Your Majesty," one council voice finally said, careful and low, "the trial has ended. We await your command." The Queen did not answer. She looked at Evan, not as a ruler, but as a mother. "You would have died," she said quietly. "Yes," Evan replied. "For her," the Queen said. Evan nodded. The Queen turned her eyes to the child. "You are the future of our people," she said. "Everything I built was for you." The child looked up at her. "But you were never there," she said softly. The words were not angry. They were honest. The Queen felt them like a wound. "I ruled so you would be safe," the Queen said. "I was not safe," the child replied. "I was alone." Silence spread again. The Queen took a slow step forward. Then another. She stopped in front of Evan. "You taught her to feel," the Queen said. "That is dangerous." "She already felt," Evan answered. "I just didn't tell her to hide it." The Queen's hands slowly clenched at her sides. "Our empire does not survive on feelings," she said. "No," Evan replied. "It survives on fear." The council shifted uneasily. The Queen looked away. She remembered the night she left her child behind to lead a war. She remembered the cold throne. She remembered choosing power over presence. "You gave her something I never did," the Queen said. "A choice." The child stepped forward. "You never asked me what I wanted," she said. "He did." The Queen lowered herself to one knee. Gasps echoed across the watching worlds. The Queen kneeling. "You want to stay here," the Queen said. "Yes," the child replied. "With a human," the Queen said. "With my father," the child corrected. The Queen closed her eyes. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she stood. She turned to the council. "My empire was built on obedience," she said. "But an empire without loyalty is hollow." The council murmured. "This human has challenged us," one voice said. "Allow this, and others will follow." "Let them," the Queen replied. All voices fell silent. The Queen looked back at Evan. "You will keep her," she said. The child's breath caught. Evan froze. The Queen raised a hand. "But not as a thief," she continued. "Not as a secret." She stepped closer. "You will be protected," the Queen said. "By my word." "Across the sky," Shields activated. Ships repositioned, not to attack, but to guard. She may visit the Empire, the Queen said. She may learn who she is. The child looked at Evan. And she may return, the Queen added, because she chooses to. Tears filled the child's eyes. She hugged Evan tightly. Thank you, she whispered. The Queen turned away quickly, then stopped. One more thing, she said. She faced Evan again. You stood before an empire, she said. You did not kneel. I didn't know how. Evan said. A faint smile touched the Queen's lips. That, she said, is why you will stand beside us. The council stirred. Your Majesty. I have decided, the Queen said firmly. She raised her voice to the stars. From this moment, she declared, this human is under imperial protection. The words echoed across space. The Queen looked at Evan one last time. Take care of her, she said. I will, Evan replied. The Queen turned toward her ship. As she walked away, her shoulders looked lighter. The ships began to rise. The street slowly returned to normal. Neighbors stepped outside, stunned. The child looked up at the sky. She is leaving, she said. For now, Evan replied. The child nodded. That was enough. High above, the Queen stood alone on her ship. She placed a hand over her chest, not as a ruler, but as a mother who had finally listened. And across the galaxy, a truth spread quietly. Humanity had not conquered. Humanity had been chosen. The Queen's ships did not leave. They moved. They formed a wide circle around the small human town, not as invaders, not as conquerors, as guards. The shield shimmered softly in the sky, visible even in daylight. Across the galaxy, millions watched the feeds in silence. Humans had never been protected like this. Evan stood outside his house, the child beside him. She looked up at the glowing ships with wide eyes. They are staying, she said. Yes, Evan replied. To keep you safe. The child nodded, then frowned. From what? She asked. Evan did not answer, because the Queen knew the truth. Protection was not only against enemies, it was against fear. The Queen stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking down at the small world below. The council gathered behind her, their voices low but tense. You have changed the balance, one council member said. Humans will believe they are equal now. The Queen did not turn. They already were, she replied. They are fragile, another voice said. Short-lived. And yet, the Queen said, one of them stood before us without weapons. Silence followed. A symbol like that spreads, a council warned. Other worlds will ask questions. Let them, the Queen replied. She turned at last. My daughter asked for safety, she said. I will not deny her again. The council fell quiet. The Queen looked back at the screen, where Evan and the child stood together. But protection has a price, she said. That night, the Queen returned. Not with soldiers. Not with weapons. She came alone. She stood at Evan's door and knocked. This time, the knock was gentle. Evan opened the door. The Queen stepped inside. The child stiffened, then relaxed when she saw her mother's face. You are not here to take me, the child said. No, the Queen replied. I am here to ask. She turned to Evan. You have given my daughter a home, she said. Now you must decide if you can give her a future. Evan listened carefully. The galaxy will not forget today, the Queen continued. Some will respect you. Others will hate you. I understand, Evan said. They will test you, the Queen said. They will watch you. I'm used to that, Evan replied quietly. The Queen nodded once. My condition is this, she said. She will learn both worlds. The child looked between them. I will not force her, the Queen added, but she must know who she is. Evan knelt, so he was at the child's level. You can choose, he said. The child thought for a long moment. I want to learn, she said, but I want to come back. You will, the Queen promised. Evan stood. I agree, he said. The Queen studied him. You understand what this makes you, she said. Evan shook his head. No, he said honestly. You become a bridge, the queen said, between humanity and the empire. Outside, news spread like fire. Human channels exploded with shock. Alien networks paused in disbelief. A human, chosen, not conquered. A father, recognized by an empire. Delegations arrived within hours. Some came with gifts. Some came with fear. Some came with anger. The queen allowed them all to watch. This is not weakness, she declared to the galaxy. This is trust. The child began traveling. She visited the empire's worlds. She learned history, science, and power. She saw the throne she could one day claim. But every journey ended the same way. She returned home. Each time, she ran to Evan and smiled. I came back, she said. And each time, the queen watched from the stars. Slowly, something changed. Human worlds were no longer ignored. Human voices were no longer dismissed. Because one human had been willing to stand still. And one child had been brave enough to choose. But not everyone accepted this new balance. In the dark corners of space, whispers grew. The human has too much influence. The child weakens the throne. The queen has lost her edge. Evan felt it. The looks, the silence, the tension in the air. One evening, the child sat beside him and looked worried. Are they angry because of me? She asked. Evan shook his head. They are afraid, he said, because things changed. Is that bad? She asked. Evan smiled softly. No, he said. It's how the future starts. High above, the queen stood alone again. She looked at the stars, at the countless worlds under her rule. For the first time, she did not see territory. She saw people. She spoke quietly, only to herself. I chose power once, she said. Now I choose my daughter. And somewhere far below, on a small, quiet street, a human home glowed warmly against the night. The galaxy watched, waiting, because one final chapter had yet to be written. Time passed. Not quickly, not loudly, but it moved. The shields in the sky became normal. The alien ships were no longer frightening. They were simply there, watching, guarding, waiting. The small human street changed. People walked again. Children played outside. Neighbors no longer hid behind doors. Life returned, but it was not the same. Because now, the galaxy knew this place. Evan's house was still small, still simple. But it was no longer just a house. It was a symbol. The child grew, not just in size, but in strength. She learned two worlds at once. Some days, she studied stars and fleets. Other days, she helped Evan cook dinner and clean the house. She laughed more. She slept without fear. And every night, she came home. You waited, she would say. I always do, Evan replied. Across the galaxy, opinions shifted. Some empires respected the choice. Some feared it. Some tried to copy it. But none could undo it, because the bond was real. One day, the queen returned again. No soldiers, no armor, no crown, just a mother. She stood in Evan's doorway, unsure. The child ran to her. You came, she said. Yes, the queen replied softly. They sat at the table together. Simple food, simple silence. The queen looked around the room. So small, she said, but warm, the child replied. The queen nodded. She turned to Evan. You changed my empire, she said. I didn't mean to, Evan replied. You changed me, the queen said. The child watched them both. Do I have to choose one world? She asked. The queen shook her head. No, she said. You are both. The child smiled. That night, the queen stood outside under the stars. She looked at the human home glowing softly behind her. She understood something at last. Power could rule worlds, but love could shape them. Before she left, the queen made one final declaration to the galaxy. My daughter will one day rule, she said, but she will rule with a human at her side. The galaxy reacted, some in anger, some in hope. Evan never asked for a title. He never took a throne. He remained what he always was, a father. Years later, when the child stood taller than Evan, she asked him a question. Why did you stand in front of an empire for me? she asked. Evan thought for a moment. Because someone once stood for me, he said, and I never forgot. She hugged him tightly. Across the stars, new alliances formed. Not through fear, but through trust. Humanity was no longer small. Not because of weapons, but because of one choice. One moment. One man. In the end, history would not remember Evan as a warrior, or a king, or a ruler. It would remember him as something far rarer. The man who was chosen, not by blood, but by love.